So I figured today we're gonna do our car wash and car show. So they're all dirty right now because they've been sitting forever right now because can't drive anything really. I took this one out for gas a little while back. I'll take them all out for gas today probably because it's cheap. So let's check it out. So this is our new setup. We got some of our signs that we took out for jobs and some of our license plates from cars that these are cars that I had, or ones that sometimes they were just in the car. License plates I had. One of them was from my old buses that I had originally, and I only had one license plate and needed two, so I just figured they were lost on my wall. And then if you see there the Volkswagen sign, that's actually a legit licensed VW sign. So I just add this up. Chris came up with this idea, so that was pretty cool. And we now have a wellness room. So if you go in here, you only go in here if you don't have COVID-19. No, those were leftover signs we had from a job we had. I forget what they were for, but we just had one of those left over, so we kept a wellness sign. I thought it would be kind of funny to put in the video and put on that door. All right, so we got the car show going on here. For you guys that can't go to car shows right now, we figured we'd make our own. So we got everything lined up here. Bucket truck here. Rabbit with the diesel engine, 1.9. So we got everything set up. I don't know which one should we look at first. Let's go around them and go inside, fire them up, and talk to you guys about each one of them. I guess I'll start with this blue one here. This is I'm thinking it's one of the oldest ones. Well, it's not the oldest ones I have. The oldest one I have is, I've had that one the longest. Either that one or the SO23. Actually, the SO23. I've had that one longer. I didn't work on it for a while, but let's talk about this one. All right, so let's take a look here. This one is a 61, 1 year only, or 6 month only color. Original color, pastel blue. It's been completely restored. There's a video of that on the channel. Several videos of the car being restored. The interior is hydride green, the steering wheel and shifter and that stuff. And also this came that color too. We had to repaint it because it was completely dilapidated. This was probably a car from right from Riverside, California. In here I've got my Bluetooth speaker. Kind of works with the car, right? That way I don't need to have a radio. That's why I don't have radios in the cars. So it has the crosshatch wheel trim. This is an original accessory they put on some of the cars. These are Wolfsburg West running boards on here. And the wiring, this is actually a original Volkswagen made in Germany wire cover. I didn't have the one for the front. That's the actual original color of the gas tank. So we did that the same. Still has the original gas cap on it. Turn around backwards. I must have not put gas in this last time. I always do it like this. It's facing me. I think. There we go. And this is what's cool. These are actually original turn signal lenses from 1961. They still have the hella stamps on them. That's really hard to find. And they're shaped a little bit different than the ones you get aftermarket now. And you never see them without crazing or cracks in them like that. It's really cool. Really a neat car. Has a great story. I got this up in the mountains of Southern California. And two other people actually went to look at it. The car in its condition when I got it originally was up for sale complete for $1,200. Had no bumpers, but the rest of the car was there, and it was in really extremely bad shape. The engine was in it, and it also has door rubber, original Volkswagen stamp door rubber. Still has the part number and the Volkswagen stamp right there. You can see it. I came in a different car. That was actually a dealer purchased rubber at a reproduction. We had the original engine for this car, but this is the one we put the extreme budget 1600 engine in this car, and man, it just gets up and moves. It's so fun to drive now with that engine. With the 40 horse in it, it actually drove really nice. But we put that other engine in here to make it a little more fun. And man, is it ever. It is really fun. I think this one's probably the nicest driving one I've ever had, maybe. It really drives nice. It even drives better than this one, even though this one is a whole lot more fun because of the rag top. Let's take a look at this one. This is the 1960. Anybody ever watch all the video series on this car? It was rusted in half. In other words, everything. Let's talk about that. This one, the other car wasn't rusted that much. This one here was rusted from here down all the way around the whole car. So, except for the front doors. The front door pillars, the A pillars, are still original all the way down. But the heater channels were completely gone. And even the piece in front was rusted out. And what happened with this car is I was going to Arizona to do work, and I was looking up prices for sunroof cars for sale because I sold two 65 sunroofs. I've had two of them. I sold both of them, and one of them I was looking at prices to see what they're going for sale, and I saw this, and I saw it for, I think it was $2,500 or something like that, a complete car with an engine in it. And it was really rusty. So it was really rusty, and he didn't have a lot of pictures of the rust. So I thought, well, when I went by there, I decided to go by and take a look at this car because I just thought, man, you know, a ragtop car for that price. Ended up getting for a little bit less than that. And on the way home, we realized that we had all the parts to fix it. So we actually had a roached out shell that we could get all the parts we needed. For the back, we had another engine that was correct even for the year. We had a lot of the parts, except for I think I had to buy some bumper parts, or maybe some of the bumper parts. I don't know. I think I actually had them all. I'm pretty sure. And then, so when I was building this car, we decided to do a period correct rotary style rock guards on it, which these are really hard to fit. They don't just fit right on. You have to heat bend them and everything else to make them work. And so we put these on this car to make it get something a little fancier. We didn't want to go with the black postage stamp sunroof, so I went with a light colored sunroof, because originally it would have been dark or green, similar to the car, and the running boards would have been green, and those are not available. We think this is actually mango green, but when I got it, I thought it was beryl green, and we started looking at beryl green, and it was way more yellow than what this color was. So let's look at inside. The inside of it is actually original paint. We touched up a few areas, like the bottom of the door I touched up, and then because it was rusty, I didn't want that rust there, and then didn't paint anything inside, left it all original. So it still has, like, the dash has this part, you know, the chipped up paint around the cigarette lighter. And we put in some cool accessories on this also. They're the reserve extension. So if you guys don't have one of those, that's kind of a neat thing to find if you can find one. Original, once left side only with a blank. There's actually a blank here. Let's look at it. I said cigarette lighter, I meant ashtray. But this was blanked out originally. So it only had driver's side only. What's this thing called? Sun visor. And the original the radio he had in the car for me, and the guy, because I gave him a good price, I didn't negotiate him with much, you know. I just talked to him and he told me where he was at on it, and I didn't say, hey, you know, I'll give you less or whatever. I just was like, dude, I'll give you the money, sounds good to me. And so he gave me the radio and accessories that he had. Originally it had 65 parts all over it, so the front group and everything was all 65, and the steering wheel was in it. But it looked like what happened is they had gotten in a wreck from the brakes being bad or something, and so it had rear end damage and front end damage, and both front and rear was replaced with 65 parts, and it had the steering wheel. So I'm almost thinking the steering wheel got bent or something like that from an accident, but it still had the original glass in the front. So it was kind of weird that, you know, the steering wheel was this year. But we wanted this because we kept this on here because we really like this wrap original. You know, this is old and it's just cool. And it just kind of goes with the car. So we just had to keep it there. It's a great story piece. And thought you guys might like that. Plus the door panels. We had all the original door panels. So what I did is I kind of got upholstery color similar to that and stayed with that all the way around. Put an accessory idea. This is the German cars have these type of things on them in Germany, so I thought that would be kind of cool to have incorporated into a Volkswagen. And on this car I have 12 volt taillights. It's all 6 volt car, but I have inverters on it to run the rotary in the back. And this one here has the 36 horsepower engine, all original air cleaner. The parts car that we got had this engine in it, and it had a low miles transmission that was in it, so we were really fortunate to get that parts car. And long story on that we're not going to get into, but also I put motorcycle taillights in the back because I want extra taillights on the 6 volt, because it's so dim. I was actually getting people behind me, and it's only 36 horse, so it doesn't go very fast. I was getting people behind me honking or almost running into me. So I had to do something to make it so I don't get run into. A lot of things you don't think about today, or you know, you don't think about the fact that back in the old days, people were ready for a car like this going slow. And today, people don't know what to do when they see it. So you really got to be careful if you have an old car with the small taillights and 6 volts. It's just, you know, be smart about it. You know, do the upgrades. Original trim. I had these curb feelers from the shop I used to work at. They were closing them out, throwing them all in the trash, and I grabbed a bunch of them years ago. So I had a few sets left, so I put them on here. This is all original repolished trim. I wanted the aluminum look versus the chrome on this car because it just looks better on it. And this has actually got original super chrome trim around the windows. This still has all the original, what's it called, on there. We didn't have to use anything to strip it off. It was in pretty good shape. You can see the pits in there. The ragtop probably had never been opened maybe a half a dozen times, so the rails were in extremely good shape. It was pretty amazing. Really, really cool stuff. The car's from Minnesota. It was super rusty, and somebody drove the heck out of it. They drove it until they couldn't drive it anymore. It was just really cool to see something like that. So let's get on to the Westphalia. 61 Westphalia. There's only a few of these left, and it's really hard to find the interior parts for it if you have one. So what we decided to do is none of the parts in the interior are original. I made everything by hand. Chris and I just manufactured and made every piece to try and replicate the original look. So it's actually 10 times more work than if you just bought all the parts. We still need to make these handles. So these are not the correct handles for it. But even this right here, this is 100% handmade. These here, this latch, that's handmade. This part's handmade, and they look just like the original. These you can buy at the hardware store. I had to find all these parts. This is sign cap trim. That's sign trim cap. I did buy the white. That's called. It's not white. It's called ivory or antique white, I think. The interior for this, for the masonite. Made this cabinet. Made these latches. Handmade. Added a sink. This is not original, but it looks just like this. Okay, this is a storage cabinet normally. So we put a sink in it, and it actually functions. Everything's 12 volt instead of 6. So, so all the stuff works functionally, so that if you wanted to go on a camping trip, you could actually enjoy it. It does have the original. Only thing I had written from the interior was original was the water tank. These are replica Emka cups. They came like this. It came in a little case just like this. But we made this by hand. Tried to bend these corners, and it was really difficult to do, so we just gave up on it and made them like this. With just butted them together. We used a special Sign Industry glue for that. And then I got, these are replica made in Germany. These are something else. I don't know. Sunbeam? Something. They're cool though. Looks neat. Looks like, you know, looks like it did originally. Got the Westphalia camping sticker from one of the guys that had the same little latch like that. These are all stainless steel, handmade stainless steel. We use the TIG welder. Made a lot of this stuff. We actually just used solder on these. We gave up on trying to TIG weld. It was really, I don't know. I'm not very good at it, so gave up on that and just went for solder. It works great. Plumbing solder. Made these all by hand. Just bought brass. Made the latches for this here. These taken loose right now by hand. All made with stainless steel. And the bar across. The actual curtain bar, the clamshell lights, handmade. The lenses. I did have the hardware for them, but I didn't have the lens. All the roof panels are not the original style. The grain goes the opposite direction. The grain on the original one goes this way, and it's actually just a veneer. It's not even veneer. It's actually like a wallpaper. So the original stuff, they call it limba wood. This one goes up here. Let me put it in the right place. Yeah, it goes on that thing. That's original. This is all original parts here, but that's it. Everything else, all the hinges, all the other stuff is handmade. So let's take a look at the inside. I got this from Eddie Dave's Garage. Has these, the little drink holders if you want them. He sells those, ship them out to you. Not an expensive item, kind of nice to have. This is an original Westphalia latch, and I'll show you why. See that little hole? That's so you can put a pin in it. They had a little pin that you put in here to lock the inside when you're inside of it, so that nobody robs you. Crazy, huh? So we wanted to make this kind of domesticated, but not, you know, take away from the looks of the original. So I put a short cabinet in here versus a tall cabinet, and we also put in the all the amenities of, so I can put a computer up on top of that if I want to, and do my YouTube channel, so I can make videos for you guys. So that was kind of neat. All these are all hand bent aluminum, and so anyway, I'm gonna have to turn. All right, so this is also original on this, or not original, but it's a reproduction of the original. This awning, they're not cheap. One of the things that I found on these buses is, if you notice, I have a little bit different tire size in the back than in the front. I just changed them. Kind of goes with my look. I like to have meats in the back, right? Anybody else like that? But the original tire size is what's on this bus over here, or this truck here. These are the bias ply tires that came on that older model. And so we'll want to change back to bias ply, and I do not want bias ply on my vehicle because they are not safe for today's roads. So the closest size available to that is actually 205 75 15. Now, I always thought 15s, and I've had many buses over the years, I always thought 15s had 165 15s, 14s were 185 14s. And that's true on the later model buses, but on the early ones, these had those big, tall, skinny bias ply tires. Since they don't make anything close to that size, the best closest size is about a ½ inch taller, and I put these 205 75 15s on there, and man, plus I have 3.44 gears in it, so it cruises so much nicer and quieter down the road than original, and still has, and it will do today's freeway speeds pretty safely and nicely. And I went ahead and decided to go ahead and put a bigger engine in this one. This has the bulletproof engine build, if anybody's watched that. This has the bulletproof engine in it, and this is a 2007. Basically, it has the most bulletproof parts pretty much that you can buy that are affordable for your engine. So I wanted the bigger engine, so you can notice I have a trailer hitch on here. It's a pretty cool trailer hitch setup. I have a video for that too. It's pretty hidden, pretty strong, well-built trailer hitch. And I want to put my motorcycle on a trailer that I'm going to make for the back of this. It's going to have some cool originality to it, original look, or repro look. I'm going to put that on. I have some damage here. What happened is, when I was doing the restoration on this, I actually rolled it backwards, and it backed into another vehicle, and I thought I had ground out. I didn't grind out all the filler out of everything there, so there's a little tiny bit of filler on there. And when I hit the other thing, eventually, I didn't see any cracks when I first painted it, but I guess what happened is there was cracks underneath. So I'm gonna have to repaint that corner. Not a big deal, but that's what that is if you notice it. No big thing. So anyway, these are reprop taillights, not original. The original ones are hard to find and very expensive. So anyway, all this aluminum trim, all this stuff here was really hard to find, this small. And I found some at Orange Aluminum in Orange County, and they had this really small stuff, and I hand bent that with. So whenever you bend aluminum, you have to heat it up. So I had to heat this, all had to be heated up and then fitted to this wood. I actually had one original door that I found at a swap meet, and that's how I got the size for that door. And that's the only thing I've had that was original for it. So anyway, it makes it really cool. I really like this van. It's really fun. I would like to do some camping trips in it since we're allowed, and I was actually planning on doing that coming up this summer, but you know, things change. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. We got the 66 13 window. Originally I was buying buses and fixing up and selling them because I had my old combi, but I wanted one I wanted to keep. And what happened is I had an ad out for projects wanted if somebody had one, and a guy locally approached me with this van. He owned it for 30 years, and it was painted purple and pink by his dad, because his dad he left it over in Georgia, and it was spent a lot of time in Florida, so it was pretty rusty. And he lived there a long time. And originally he just approached me and says, you know, I don't know if I really want to sell it, but you know, I have it, and it has all the parts. And I went over to his house and I looked at it, and it was really in extremely bad shape, but it looked pretty good because it was painted purple and pink, and like they put the rockers on and no inner rockers, so that you could just grab the rocker and it would just flap loose. But you know, most people wouldn't really know to look at that. So I said to him, I said, look, you know, I said, I'll give you this price for it, but I said, look, somebody else will probably give you more. And I drove up in another bus that looked 11 window that looked almost the same as this one does, and he said, well, I don't want it to sit in somebody's garage. I've owned it for 30 years. I want somebody to drive it, you know. So I wanted to get done. So he sold it to me because he knew that it would get done, because he could see that I'd done it before, and he didn't want somebody just buying it and then, you know, having it sit in their garage, because he had a lot of emotional attachment to it. So he didn't have any of the original interior parts for it, but he did have all the seats, you know, all the upholstery, and all the door panels were all shot that were in it. So I had to replace all those. And this is the original color, but I've tweaked it a little bit. The original color was a little more purple than this, and I don't like the original color, so I kind of tweaked it to my own. It made it very similar, but got rid of that little purple that was in it. And when there was a lot of orange peel in this, because what happened is my catalyst, I was put a base coat on here. This was free paint, so I put on a base coat on this, and the base coat was catalyzed, and the shop that I got it from actually gave me the wrong hardener, and it was for a gloss hardener instead of the regular, so it took a lot longer to dry, and I'd already mixed up my clear. So my clear sat there and got a little bit too long. It sat like for 45 minutes before I sprayed it, so it actually it was really thick when I was going to spray it on, so that's why it's got a lot of orange peel. And even if you color sand and buff it, you'll never get all that out of there if there's a little bit too much orange peel on a flat surface like that. So I always talk about that stuff. That's why you need a good spray gun to spray one of these. So I was at a swap meet, and I saw a guy who had all brand new reproduction upholstery. The upholstery for this is about $2,800 for just the seat covers and door panels alone. And I had all the chrome. So and I was just like, oh wow, okay. And I got it so I got the interior for very inexpensive. It was missing these parts, and I made this in here. So I made all these, and all the seats were there, but they were for the wrong year. So I had to buy the 2/3, 1/3 front seat covers, I think, and I had to buy, it had a full middle seat upholstery, so I had to buy that one. I think I had to buy this one and this one. I can't remember, but that was like, so I had about half of what it normally costs for the interior, less than half. And I did my own headliner, so all this is all done by hand. Everything, all my upholstery, paint, and everything's all, bodywork is all done by me. I don't send anything out to anyone. So this was the original trim that was on it. It's not reproduction trim, it's original. It had the original trim for the bottom. It had all original, date stamp correct beauty rings, which is pretty rare to find. These are not the correct rear bumpers. They had been replaced, and I do have the rubber for them, but I actually have the correct rear bumper now for it, and eventually I'm going to end up changing that. So, and I'm actually going to repaint the bottom of it as well at the same time. So I plan on doing that in the near future here, but it just looks good the way it is. So I don't know, I just keep it the way it is right now, and it drives so good. This one here, we put the 1904 in it. I had a 1776 in it. It ran great, ran fine, but since we were building engines and we had a good case, so I thought, well, we'll build a 1904 for this one. This engine it's almost as quick as that one. it runs so good, and this thing gets over 20 miles a gallon. So because two reasons: I have the gear ratios. I have the 3.44 gears in it, but this one has a bug fourth gear. So that one has a regular bus fourth. This one has a bug fourth, and that one has this one has 1.26 to 1 gear reduction boxes. That one has 1.39 to 1. So, you know, you kind of need the bug fourth in that one. So I wanted the big nuts. I just couldn't find a set when I was doing it. So I just told him leave the bus fourth in it when he built the trans. It's really expensive to build those transmissions, but it's really, really worth it if you want to, you know, if you want to protect that investment from getting, you know, rear-ended on the freeway because you're going too slow. And people don't think about that. You know, really, people aren't ready for that. They're just not expecting somebody to be going that slow sometimes in something old like this. So you got to think about that. So anyway, original stuff, really cool. Original seats. Let's look inside. Got a couple of my swap meet finds from the last Pomona. Like this one for the Westphalia. What else did I have? Oh yeah, one of those filters. And a bug gas gauge that I'm going to use in the Westphalia tank. Not supposed to work, but it does. So, original seat, 66. I have the original armrests, but these ones were upholstered nice, so I kept these on it. Original ashtray. I'm missing the one for this seat. Again, these, let's look at the back. So this one here, these are original platinum. Painted them close as I could find. This is actually really close to the original color of the interior. The reproduction stuff is kind of more goldish, and it's not quite the same. The original was more like this. I had the actual upholstery parts. Some of the upholstery was still there, and it was original. So this is my oh shit box. Tools. That's what Chris put on there. Oh shit. So it's kind of fun to use those old suitcases. I got these from my parents' house. These are my grandfather's old suitcases that I have, the ones I have laying around. If you see them in videos, that's where they came from. This is a really cool thing. Anybody interested in this product, I might be getting Eddie and Dave's Garage to stock this. And it's a lot cheaper than the stuff you can get for these. They're over $100 for this seal, for the seal. And this looks really close to the original, but it's about, you know, a tenth of the price, I guess. I want to say. And it shuts nice. Still need to adjust that. I haven't adjusted that since I put the trim on there. So anyway, we're working on the 67 in Westphalia, and still going on good. We got the dash painted. I went through and just gave it a quick polish, the buffer. Got rid of that dust that was in there, if you saw that video. A little bit of dust in there. It just doesn't take much time to do. I could go through and polish all this out. I'm probably not gonna, but I just wanted to do the dash to make it look nice. That's what you see all the time. And that's going on. So this thing should be pretty nice. Still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the normal windows. I might look for some original ones, but if I can't find them, then I might put pop outs in. So that's kind of a decision process that's going on right now with this. And this one here is a pretty interesting bus. The build's going on still, so we're not going to talk too much about it, but I'll let you guys take a look at it because it's here. All right, 61 bucket truck. 61 cherry picker bucket truck. This is the oldest one known. There might be another one, but we don't know of any. No Volkswagen people have ever heard of one older than 61. This came from our friend in Belgium, BBT. Say hey, BBT. Put a comment down there and let people find you. He's a parts guy in Belgium, and he deals a lot with the sheet metal stuff you see, the silver stuff. BBT had a lot to do with that stuff getting to America. So the stuff that's it's got that coating on it. The build's coming on this here very soon. I think we're going to be very soon. We're going to be putting this thing back up on there because that piece belongs on top of there, and then it sits up very high and comes down. So that's still. This thing's in super bad shape, so we're going to need to buy all the sheet metal for the back. People have been saying, hey look, why don't you buy the pre-made truck for about $14,000. It's like, no, that doesn't come with doors. It doesn't come with the tops of the backs. You know, I've been weighing this stuff out. It's the same sheet metal that I can get from VBT. So, and those guys just assemble it and put it together. So they charge you a lot for that. And it'll be really expensive either way. I don't know. I haven't weighed it out yet. I think his name's Bob. So Bob, if you're listening, give me a deal. Talk to Eddie. Give me a deal on some sheet metal. I need something. I need a smoking deal. Some special deal. So anyway, let's take a look at the Rabbit. I was going to fire some of these up. Maybe we'll do that in a little part of this video too. So if you stick around, we'll start firing them up and run the engines. This has a 1.9 AAZ turbo diesel engine, or not turbo diesel. It's a AAZ NA engine. The NA engine and the turbo diesel engine block, pistons, and everything are exactly the same. They use the turbo pistons in the regular AAZ engine, from what I've understood from the professionals that deal with diesels. So I put a TDI turbo on it, which works better than the actual turbo that came on the AAZ T. And the AAZ with the reason the turbo works better is it's smaller and it spools quicker, and you get immediate boost. So there's no delay in boost at all. As soon as I step on the gas, I get right up to 12 pounds boost within seconds, and it'll actually start to smoke the tires sometimes when I'm just stomping on the throttle. So and even with that kind of power, it still gets 50 miles to the gallon. So it's pretty cool. What happened is, now I've actually replaced this with this car right here, TDI. We're not going to have that one in the show, but it's here. I replaced it with that because the only reason is two reasons really. One is if it breaks down, parts are not always available. So if I'm in Northern California and this thing breaks down, I'm kind of screwed. The other reason is it's very uncomfortable for somebody my height to drive. So somebody who's shorter, it's a great little driving truck, and it's very reliable. I've drove it all over California, and it was, crossed my fingers a few times. One time I actually had to hot wire the ignition, because what's the big failure on these is the wiring. So I've already rewired the whole truck. Everything's completely, it has a buggy harness in it, so there's no more VW fuse issues anymore. So the fuse block goes bad on them, and it starts shorting out and causing problems on this year. So even on the later models, but you can buy the fuse blocks for the later models. Early ones you can't. So really neat truck, super fast. It's pretty fun. For the gas mileage it gets, it's really quick. I redid the seats. These are TMI at one point, and I've got a dash cover I'm going to put on it, and I'm going to paint this thing. It's going to go for sale. I'm not sure how much yet, but I can't keep everything registered in a shirt. It's just so much money. Let's fire some cars up and listen to them. Especially for you guys that are new to the channel, want to hit that subscribe button. Yeah, it's loud. Go down the road. What's nice about the AAZ is you flip on the AC, and if you have a regular 1.6 liter, the belts are a little loose. But if you have a regular 1.6 liter, the dash will just start to shake like this as soon as you put the AC on. The 1.9 doesn't care. It just, so the air conditioning does work, and that's kind of nice. That's the only way I'll have a water-cooled Volkswagen, if the AC works. If the AC doesn't work, it's getting fixed. So it's kind of cool. It's got Bluetooth. It's got all that stuff. I was driving this thing as a daily, and just decided when the price of the TDI Sport Wagon came down, the comfort is so much better. I just had to buy one, and so I bought that car. Got it for such a deal, and then right after they did it, the TDI emission scandal came out, and I got $5,000 of that money back. So I ended up basically getting the car for almost nothing by the time I got it. So it was definitely worth buying. The bug. These things haven't been running a while. It's been a couple months because of the coronavirus, and this has that extreme budget build. This is a single port 1600. I ported the exhaust ports. We put a light and flywheel on it, and we also put a what did we put in? We put a cam in it, a 268. It's very similar to the Web 86 cam, and it's a little bit smaller than the Eagle 110. So this thing just rips, man. This thing is so fun to drive now, man. It gets up and moves. I mean, you'd never think it's a single port. You drive it, it's faster than a dual port, the stock dual port. So just opening up those, if you guys want to watch that engine build, you can learn how to open up those exhaust ports and man, it just makes a huge difference. Watch that build. There's a playlist on the channel for that. Kind of cool. Learn how to build that cheap engine. Super cheap. That didn't cost hardly anything to build. We used all used parts on it. This one here's got the 36 horsepower. Let's run it for a minute. Might have to violate my getting in these things and starting them up. Makes me want to go buy some groceries or something. Take one of these cars out. I was going to do a cruise to the hospitals. People interested. But the problem is, I have a feeling, they might give a $1,000 fine out, per vehicle if we got caught. So I'm not sure if I want to do that. If you notice, it's a choke, manual choke. Got to use that to start it. 6-volt car. Starts up every time. Now, I do have the hard start relay in here, so that's why it starts up every time. You're having a problem with your 6-volt car, I have a video on how to do that. You can buy a relay on Amazon. You hook it up near your starter, and it'll start right up every time once you do that. If you're having a problem with it, you just turn it on and it doesn't make any noise. And 6-volt car, there's a way to fix that by putting a hard start relay on it. Big engine time. All right, let's give this one a little whirl. The belt keeps slipping. We got to figure out what that is. I think we had it figured out. Like, don't know what it is. Every once in a while, that belt this thing revs so fast. Put probably just a little bit too big a cam in it, but sure does make it sound good. Yeah, that sounds good. I don't know if you guys can hear that. This has we ended up putting the E-gas carburetor on this. It worked the best with this engine. And you can buy those in Arizona at a place for a lot less than a Volkswagen shop has them for. So look up Holly Weber or E-gas carburetor on YouTube or on Amazon or on Google, and you'll find a place in Arizona that sells them for quite a bit less. And you can put those on the stock manifold, on the regular 2-barrel manifold, and that works really well. It's a lot easier to jet, but you do lose some gas mileage. It is not quite as good as the Holly Weber. People say there's no such thing as a Holly Weber. You got to be old to know that. Yes, there is. It's called a Holly. Holly and Weber took the same design or something like that, or Weber made it and Holly bought parts of it, or well, I don't know how it worked, but it's a Holly Weber. That's what's on this one. This has a 1904, so it's another big engine, but it doesn't sound quite as big as that one because the big valve heads, really, when you have a bigger engine, you have the big valve heads as well. It makes it really sound ripping fast. So this one has 1904. It has stock ported heads. Those ones and that one are the big valve from AA Performance. These are stock ported heads with a Web 86 cam. with a Holley Weber 2-barrel, which is also called the Weber Progressive, but it's the old one where it's a 26 millimeter, 27 millimeter, versus the new ones are 30, 32, 36, I think. So it gets incredibly good gas mileage, and when you open it up, that secondary, the primary and secondary are progressive. So you're driving a lot in the primary at 26 millimeter, and when you open it up, it has a lot of power, like having dual carbs, but you're driving it around on a very small carburetor all the time, so it gets great gas mileage. I know it's over 20. I think it's around 22 miles a gallon, which is incredible for a flat nose VW van. So anyway, that's it for that. Well, that's it for the Mike Effin Garage Car Show. Let's get you back in focus here. Yeah, we'll take a walk around real quick and look at everything one more time, a little slower. It took us a few hours to wash all these cars, believe me. As you wash them one at a time. Yeah, that's the green, mango green ragtop bug. Pastel blue, I think it's L391. You guys can look that up if you want. This is the rabbit, original color, L97, also known as Porsche Silver. Came on Porsches as well in that era. This is the Tizian red. Some people say Titan red, but it's Tizian red and beige gray. 13 window. That is sealing wax red, beige gray. Same color on the top is on this one. Same color. You can see it. And that was Mike Effin Garage formulated. This is the 61 SO10 bucket truck, or also known as cherry picker. 67 tin top Westie. Again, the rabbit. Alright, so I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed our mini car show. Since we can't go to them right now, might as well have one at home. Talk to you in the next one.